All right, we're going to move on to today's Group F games in Limbe, turning out to be one of the most suspenseful groups of the tournament in many ways, thanks to the Gambia. The lowest ranked of the tournament's 24 teams pulled off a surprise tie against Mali thanks to a last-minute penalty. Meanwhile, Tunisia gained their first points of the tournament with a 4-0 win against Mauritania. France 24's James Vasina was following those games for us from Limbe. He sent us this report.
Well, it took some time for Tunisia, but they have now got things going in a very different style this time on matchday 2 as they took on Mauritania. They got the job done early, slotting in 2 very early goals in the first minutes of the game, getting past that Mauritanian defence. Mauritania, who'd opted for a very defensive 5-4-1 formation, but that really did not work out at all for them. They did have some chances on the counterattacks that were cut short by the Tunisian defenders, who picked up a duo of yellows for the team. Now, after that, Tunisia, after the break, then doubled that lead in a similar fashion once again with some consecutive goals, but this time in a much more classy way, should we say. Some great teamwork out there, and this all as a result of what head coach Cameroon had said that he would do. He would put the past behind him, the last game, which of course ended with that early exit as the referee blew his whistle twice before the end of the match, something that of course had left them very frustrated at that point. He put behind also the COVID cases, the 6 COVID cases in the squad, and decided to make some changes. Hannibal Mabry sitting this one out, Kazri very deservedly earning man of the match. Now Mauritania therefore leave their campaign. It ends early once again for them. They're second only at the Africa Cup of Nations, and they leave with 0 points. Of course, Mauritania, who did have to battle it out at the end of that, left with 20 minutes really on the field, knowing that they were playing and just going home shortly after that. Of course, they will still have their last game on the 3rd match day still to come. But Tunisia pick up the 3 points for them, and maybe this will be the start of something much more promising than their first game here at the Africa Cup of Nations.
Everyone had a strong reaction after losing to Mali, and it was important to react. Tonight we played good football. We're conscious of our strengths and our weaknesses. We're getting stronger, and we just have to prove it against the Gambia and not get ahead of ourselves after winning tonight.
Well, for a moment earlier on, Mali seemed certain to have booked their place in the round of 16, but those hopes were cut short in dramatic style after Musa Barrow fired in a penalty for the Gambia to make it 1 apiece. Now, that penalty came just minutes after Ibrahima Kone himself put in a penalty for his side, a penalty that came after the Gambia's captain cleared a ball off the goal line after their keeper had been beaten. But in the build-up to that, the referee checked VAR and decided that a foul had been committed. We have to say, though, that Mali were very much the better side this afternoon here in Limbe. The Gambia really struggling to keep up with them and really losing out in power and in pace, especially in the second half under the scorching sun here in Limbe. But of course, they did have some massive opportunities, hitting the woodwork twice, and Abli Jallo really the star of their team, but they could not quite get there when they needed to. The Gambia, of course, though, making a brilliant start to their campaign, their first ever campaign here at the Africa Cup of Nations. They still, of course, do stand a chance to make it through. They'll have to see how things go next. But for Mali today, of course, today's game has been somewhat of a disappointment.
It's a bit disappointing. We had high expectations for the game, but I don't think we did what we needed to win. We have to accept the draw.
People need to understand that there are no more small teams. All of the countries that are here deserve to be here.
I am really happy, really proud. We're still the biggest underdogs, and we'll see what our limits are.
Well, as things stand, Mali and the Gambia are on 4 points, while Tunisia have now picked up 3. Mauritania exit with 0 points, and they'll be fighting their last battle against Mali. The Gambia will face Tunisia, a very exciting clash to come. This is the top 3 teams of Group F battle for top spot ahead of the round of 16.